Hello, my name is Cedric.
Hi, I'm Tony.
I'm Paul.
Yes, Omar.
Being from El Paso has made us everything that we are, really. Not just being from El Paso, but just our backgrounds and what led all of us to El Paso. Like, I was born in El Paso, but Omar's from Bayamon, Puerto Rico, and, Paul and Cedric are from California. Tony's born in Lebanon, so we're kind of all over the world, and I think all of that leads to music that we make.
I used to watch The Dead Kennedys. They had a video called Live on the Off-Broadway. Isn't that right, Omar? It's like some club in San Francisco's last show, and they played, and that was just a really phenomenal show. The way he moved around and the way he kind of like tried to enter the lyrics through his body and stuff. I was always inspired by them.
I mean, I like, R.E.M. and I like U2 and I like that stuff as well as some of the darker stuff. And so the band has sort of just become this combination of that element, of like the pop element. Good pop, mind you, not bad pop. Right, good pop. And also like a real dissonant, like VSS feel, or like chaotic.
It's kind of angular, I would say.
King Crimson,
jangly, mixed in with like his pop sensibilities. You can never say that At the Drive-In is this left-wing, pinko, socialist band. I mean, we'd be total hypocrites by saying that, because what we do in everyday life, we sell T-shirts. You pay to see us. You know what I mean? So there's really no political agenda we can stand on, let alone on the fact that people are paying money to see us. You know what I mean? And we have not put any money back in any sort of organization or anything. So we're not a political band now. But lyrically, there are issues that do seem political, because it's a border where we come from, and it affects us all.
For me, it really bums me out when I see people pushing each other and hurting each other, and like you can see it, you can see the assholes, you can find them, and you can see them look for someone to push, and it's just they're releasing some sort of Neanderthal urge to get adrenaline from hurting somebody else, and that's all they're doing, and it's totally unfair to do to people. But I'm getting you can only say stuff like that for so long before you're just beat down by it. Omar pretty much does himself in every night. Something.
Well, no, Jim broke his headstock on Paul's back, and he nailed him in the head once, and I've cut Cedric's lip open once. In the face.
We have the room.
Yeah, we have the room, and it's like, if you want that kind of stuff to happen at Euro, that's totally fine. I just figure in the 2000 discovers the bone, and he figures out that it's a weapon, and he uses it to hit other apes with. Wow, evolution! Wow, it's like 20 years later. What are we doing? Are we just still picking up bones and hitting each other over the head? It just seems archaic and retarded. And I mean, people are bunched together when they're watching us. I think they should keep in mind, spread out, or just come up with a new dance. They can do. There's been some times where I just feel so happy doing it.
Hi, this is Jim.
And this is Omar.
And we play in a band called At the Drive-In.
The first question I wanted to ask is, since Relationship of Command has come out, do you feel that your lives have changed or developed, and in what ways?
I think, for sure. I mean, life changes either way, but definitely the record's had some impact on our lives. We're a lot busier now, and we can making the move from an indie to a major allowed us a little bit more freedom as far as taking time off to write last year and being able to pay rent, and having the time to make a record that we really believed in. So it has definitely given us some options, and it has changed a lot of things, I think.
It's given us the opportunity to go to a lot of places maybe that we wouldn't have been able to go to before, and reach a broader audience, and meet some pretty amazing people along the way. So
That's cool. It seems like that you guys have a pretty strong DIY ethic, and you shoot your own video and put together your own video footage for your video. You encourage people to organize themselves. How do you deal with the pressures that challenge that DIY ethic? Being with a major label
Well, I think a good advantage of being on Grand Royal is that it's run by people that understand artists pretty well. I mean, not just Mike D and the rest of the BC Boys, but also Gary Gersh and John Silva, which are now, they manage Sonic Youth and Foo Fighters and Beck and BC Boys, and those are all bands that I think do things their way quite a bit. And it's good for us because they've been around a long time and they can give us a lot of insight. And we try to keep an open mind to stuff, but at the same time, if we feel uncomfortable with anything, we just say no. And we signed with a ton of creative control. We own half of everything, half the masters, we get half the royalties. We have a 50-50 split with them. So it's a partnership and it's a relationship where we're learning how to do things. And if we ever feel overwhelmed, I think we just take a step back and say, okay, we need to take a break here and we need to really figure out what we're doing with our band and with our music. And if this is something we feel is right, then we'll do it. And you only get smarter from being open-minded, I think. So we try to stay open-minded and just deal with it on a day-to-day basis, I would say.
What would you define as your genre of the music that you write and play? Because I once heard someone say that you guys are the Stanley Kubrick of punk rock.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's really cool.
That's what we're gonna call ourselves from now on.
Wow, that's pretty.
So how does that sit with you?
Yeah, I think we always have discussions about being cinematic, about being not theatrical but cinematic, like the big wide open shot of the ocean. You know, like when we write a song, maybe that's what we're picturing, maybe that's what we see. So we tried to do a little bit of that on this video, and we're gonna do a whole lot more of that. A lot more. We talk about, you know, Stanley Kubrick or Fellini when we talk about making videos, and so I mean that's a totally nice compliment. But the fact that people have to struggle to figure out where to pin us is a compliment in itself.
Absolutely.
We don't.
I think we've always considered ourselves just a rock and roll band, if anything, because it's pretty vague and
sort of the easiest one to get away with,
right?
Right.
Without pigeonholing yourself.
Do you guys consider yourselves political rockers at all, or do you not like that sort of tag?
We're definitely not a political band because, like I've said in other interviews, Tony was born and grew up in Beirut, Lebanon, and has had civil wars and has an ongoing struggle with Israel, and they're fighting and bickering, and that's something that I'll never understand completely. I'll never understand it like he does. And I think it's the same for all of us. Like, I grew up Anglo in a very predominantly Hispanic world, so I have things inside of me that aren't the same for these guys. You know, Omar's from Puerto Rico. He has a whole different take on it. And so I don't think we could be a political band, but we're definitely all political people. And each of us has our own causes and our own things that we like to talk about or participate in. But it wouldn't be fair for the band to take on one banner other than just basic humanitarianism, I think. Which we can all get along with, we can all agree on.
Do you ever go back to Puerto Rico?
I used to go back every summer till I was like 18. So I'm 24 now, so I haven't been there in a while. But I mean, when I go home, it's, you know, my family lives the same way. They only talk to me in Spanish. We only eat Puerto Rican dishes. There's only salsa music playing at home, so it's pretty much the same.
The military bombing in Vieques are you involved in that at all?
Not really. Yeah, to be honest, I'm not. Somebody asked me that after we played the free show there at the college, but yeah, I don't really follow politics that much myself.
Your label as a digital download.
Yeah.
I wanted to find out what you guys' thoughts were about Napster, and I know that you guys are Metallica fans too. I wanted to find out what you thought about Larson. And
I think it's unfortunate. Somebody that's in a creative position is being so anti-creative. I mean, I don't know him, and I don't know his whole point of being mad at Napster. I don't really see how Napster could do anything but turn kids and people onto music. And I mean, mixtapes, and college radio turned me on to all of the stuff that I'm into. You know, that's what started my whole process.
Not to mention the fact that that's how they got their start. You know,
exactly.
Like their first tapes were just demos that people
passed around
and recorded, and they got this huge following in San Francisco. And
you know, it's 20 years later, and this is how it's being done now.
Bickering over money, exactly.
You can't.
It's evolution.
Yeah, I don't see the problem with it. I mean, no matter how much research they do that says people buy it or don't buy it, or it turns music on to people, or it promotes record sales, I don't think that's even important. I think it's important that people are listening to music. So
maybe somewhere along the line they see
At the drive-in?
Yeah. We're actually drinking one-arm scissors at the moment.
You've got a lot to live up to because everyone's like, oh my God, at the drive-in, they're coming a big day. Oh my God, they're the best band in the world. Oh Jesus, you've got to see it. We just had like guys from Nitocris and Friends of Rom here on the seat going, they were the best band ever. Do you like, before you step on stage, you're like, oh shit, we got to do it again?
No, we just play. I mean, we don't believe that. We just, keep our heads small is a better thing to do,
Rono, do you dig the festival or do you dig the club action?
I think the clubs are better, but the festivals give you a chance to see all the other stuff.
Any surprises on your set? You got anything worked out? Or are you just going to go out there and rock like pigs?
Just play. It's too hot to get make any surprises. We're just gonna, if we get through the whole set, it'll be like a wonder. So it'll be good.
If we learn our own songs well enough, we might move on to other stuff. But
do you really? You don't think you play your stuff well enough live?
No.
Really? Wow.
I mean, it's not our main focus in life is to be the best. Titus, like go see NSYNC if you want to see perfect. Like you want to see rock and roll, come see a rock and roll band. It's not about perfection; it's about heart and soul.
We were just talking about Napster and you guys' feelings about Lars and basically that I guess Napster you feel is a good tool for people that just trade music.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. People should be open to it. And as far as downloading our record digitally, I'm super excited about it. I think it's neat. It's new technology. It gives kids a creative chance to make their own record covers out of our artwork. And there's several different things you can do with it. And I think it's cool, personally. It's something I would definitely been into if I was, 10 years younger than I am and understood computers, which I don't.
Yeah, they were saying that it was basically the same thing as when deck-to-deck taping first became popular.
Exactly. There's always the people who can't afford records and need to be turned on to music through mixtapes and whatnot.
Has the inspiration to write music become easier or harder with the popularity of the band getting bigger?
It hasn't. I don't think it's affected us so far at all. But then again, we're really not that popular. It's sort of a myth. Yeah. We don't quite understand it.
Yeah, we're building the myth right now.
No, it's awesome. I mean, there's just been a lot of press and a lot of stuff going on about us, but it really hasn't equated to selling a ton of records, which we're totally fine with. Right. We're very happy just doing what we do, and whatever happens, happens.
Could you tell us what happened with the security guard in Philly?
Go for it, man.
Oh, he was just a jackass. I had lost my pass and whatnot, and I walked by him to put somebody in on the guest list, and he kind of started, he started being an asshole to me. I'm not even really sure why. And he had seen me earlier in the night or whatever, and when I walked away from him to go towards the booth to try to get someone on the list, he just started to call me these homophobic terms, and the only thing I told him was I was like, wow, you're a real decent human being, man. I'm glad you're in charge of security. And then he went off on this. So that's what your mother said when I fucked her last night, that spick whore, and so I kind of tried to ignore him, and everyone else was tripping out on him, because he was just yelling at the top of his lungs. And I went to walk past him, and he shoved me out of the way with one big arm. And I told him, look, dude, I'll go get a pass from our tour manager, but I don't deal with people like you. I don't talk to racists. And so I walked by him, and then he hit me in the back of the head. And the guy was like 6'4" or 6'5".
No, like 6'10".
Like 6'10". He was
bigger than anybody on our tour.
And he was an older guy, with white hair and gray hairs and
possibly an off-duty cop working.
No, he was a school teacher.
Yeah,
it's brilliant.
So he punched me in the back of the head, and he roughed me up and lifted me by my jacket. I knocked his glasses off of his face, and then he just started hitting me and pulled me out of the club and out to the curb by my hair. And he had 3 people. He had Derek from the Murder City Devils, who was a pretty big guy himself, trying to tackle him, and they couldn't take him down. So I pressed charges against him, and hopefully it'll be, I filed a personal criminal complaint, and hopefully I'll have a lawsuit against him. So,
right on. Yeah. You guys have run into any other problems like that through your tour?
Well, we totaled the van.
We flipped
the van. I was in the other truck, so I missed the whole thing.
We did 360 on the freeway, hit the side, and flipped over. None of us were hurt. None of us had broken bones or anything.
That's amazing that you guys walked away from that.
Totally.
It's been a pretty crazy tour.
I got my head put through a window.
You got a cigarette put out on your face.
I got a cigarette put out on my face.
This is the punkest tour ever.
Have you run into any assholes or just
There's been some kind
strange.
A little obsessive people we're starting to find here and there, and yeah, you mean like just whatever. Like, have you seen Meeting People's Easy, the Radiohead movie?
Yeah.
Remember the part where he's like, is there a Radiohead party here? And he's walking down the street, and the guy's like creep, motherfucker, come on, motherfucker, write me a song. Like, just those people are just idiots. I don't know where they come from, but they're there. They're always around, you know. It's scary.
Yeah.
It's totally scary. I just tell them not to be weird and walk away, hopefully, and they don't hit me or anything. But
I had this one thing happen to me that was pretty cool. When we were at Minneapolis, it was like 3 in the morning, and I was walking to this cafe, and these guys, they drive by, and I was kind of scared. They roll down their window, and they stop, they roll down their window, and they go, "Your new album sucks, motherfucker," and they drove off. And I was like, right on, man.
Yeah, that's the best compliment.
Yeah, totally.
it's pretty nice when you can walk down the street and someone not only knows you, but knows you enough and feels comfortable enough to come up and say that you suck.
Yeah.
They feel moved enough.
The thing is that they don't know that we've been on tour with Rage, and you know we got way worse by thousands and thousands of people that hated us. So
Yeah.
I'm actually pretty used to it by now.
How was the tour with Rage? Is that
It was like 10 times the size of playing with AFI and Good Riddance when no one knew who we were, and you know we used to walk onto stage and people would just be like, "Faggots!" You're like,
Start
"What?
Throwing shit at us.
We haven't even played yet. You know, come on." But the same thing would happen there. It's the same. It's meathead mentality, like closed-minded meatheads. We're not gonna waste our time worrying about them. We're just gonna turn up. That's
It's
it.
truly a great thing to get hit by your own CD.
Yeah.
To have your own CD thrown at you and just get hit on the head, it's like, there's no other feeling quite like it.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Are any of you guys involved in video production, or because I know you guys did your own video?
We just always mess with it.
Yeah.
Like we have a camera on the road, like that one, kind of.
We just play around with it.
Yeah, we just have fun.
It's like you say, the DIY ethic. You know, if you want to write a book, then you type away and you Xerox it, and if you want to put out a record, then you record on a 4-track and you make mixtapes and on double decks, and if you want to film a movie, then you buy a camera and you have a bunch of your friends, or you borrow a camera and you have your friends goof off.
Just don't steal a camera. That's all I ask.
It's refreshing to see a music video that's not made by a major movie director or editor or production company.
I think we try to run our own shit as much as possible. It makes you tired, but I think it's worth it in the long run.
It's inspirational for a lot of kids out there. I think that's what
I hope so.
gravitates them towards your guys' band.
We're just paying back the bands that made us want to do this. To me, it's respect.
Who are your guys' biggest influences?
No, everybody from Zeppelin
Biscuit to
no, everybody from like Zeppelin to Fugazi to
Gang of Four and
Thelonious Monk, like
Gus's Pablo,
it's good music.
Ronnie Size,
U2, R.E.M.
salsa music, Johnny Cash,
Miles Davis.
Kraftwerk. Let's stop because we could
we could go on for a really long time.
But, we've taken in from everything.
In the van, does everyone have their own headphones on, or is the van playing one song that everybody's listening to?
It depends. All the CD players got stolen in New York along with the TV, so. And then.
But I think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah,
we all have our own players, but CD players. But then there's those times when somebody puts in that tape and everybody just kind of puts them down, and
turns it up, and we all sing along, and we all. Yeah. It's awesome.
Like friends on a road trip, It's cool. It's all it ever is.
Well, I guess that's it. We're gonna wrap it up. Thanks for giving us an interview today.
Thanks a lot.
Right
All
on.
right.
Thanks.
Take care. You get burned out.
You add a day off out of every week, and that kind of helps. But
Go see movies.
it's
pretty hard. I think.
It's really hard.
We do get burned out. I think everybody does. I mean, the thing about being in a band or whatever is you can't call in sick for work. I mean, if you're too sick to play, that's a huge deal, and we usually play sick, or all of us have played with fevers, all of us have played with messed up body parts or gashes in our hand, or it's just the way. This is all I don't know why we do it this way, but we just always have, and
it is the way it is.
Wouldn't that affect your performance?
Sometimes it does, and sometimes it pushes it to be a better performance. There's so much going on in your head that you want to lash out, and that's the only therapy you have is the 45 to 30 minutes on stage, and everything else is it's lame, you know, riding in the van and stuff like that. I mean, we should have canceled for the last U.S. states. We should have canceled the last week because we flipped our van, and I mean, we shouldn't have really continued. But there's an itch that we have to do this. You know, it's, at least for me, it's probably one of the only things I do, I think, halfway decent in life. So why not do it? But I mean, for me, it was like kind of like a wake-up call because we do it so much. And I kind of wanted to go home and take a break, you know, which might be, some people might take that as like, oh, you know, what a wuss, you know, but, I mean, it had been 7 weeks just about at that point, but the way we work in a band is it's a democracy, and these guys had a really good point, and the point being that we came out of there basically with little or no injuries, and it was like, you might as well just keep doing it. There's only a couple more days, and
plus, there was a lot of grief like through that. I was in a different car, so I wasn't in the crash, and I was 90 miles away from my boys, and they were hurt, you know, and they were shaken up, and I was shaken up, and the fact that we weren't all in the same room was really super frustrating because we were trying to call and bad phone lines and ice storms, and so like when we did decide to do the rest of the tour, I felt like I had to get something off my chest, and you know, I just felt so shaken up that the only thing that made me feel normal was going back and playing shows with our friends and seeing our friends in those cities, and it turned out for the best. But also, like, our band isn't a choreographed band at all, or there's no real set thing that's going to happen. So if some nights we're on fire and other nights we're not, it's just honestly the way we are, and we make honest music and we play honestly. So, you know, it's not planned, it's not rehearsed, and therefore you get what you get that night. And you know, we have friends that have seen us, you know, 30 or 40 times throughout their lives, and they always say there's like different dimensions to our band. So, I mean, if you come to more than one show, you'll see different things. It's not just in sync, you know. It's kind of the hand in the glove. It's like, I don't know.
I think they're just both as important. Right now, I'm in the state of mind where, like, I want to go work on a new record, you know? Because by the time we've already started playing it, and by the time people start hearing it, we've already played it a million times, and we're pretty, like, burnt out on it, you know? And then when a single becomes a single, you hate it. And when it gets on rotation, people love it at first, and then they hate it, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, people play it too much, you know what I mean? And then you get tired of it, so. But I love both aspects. I love being secluded and making a record, you know, and being like in a laboratory, you know. It's just like creating something. And then I love being able to travel around and show everyone this is what we were working on. This is what we were secluded for. This is why we did that. So
I think there's a big urge to share, like share your music, share your. I mean, that's why we started the band in the first place, was to just communicate, get out of El Paso, and like exchange ideas with other people and
show them that that is what's going on in El Paso.
Yeah.
You know.
So it's sort of one without the other. You can't really do. I wouldn't want to tour without making records, and I wouldn't want to make records without touring. So maybe some point we'll quit touring. We're too old.
Yeah.
2 or 3 years.
Selling out is so weird because we were never the band that stood behind the slogan or the banner of being anti-major label or anything like that either. And I think it's about time that people involved in our musical scene start fighting back some of the dumber rock that's out there. And the sooner that we do that, the more choices people are going to have on television. Kids in Middle America, they don't know anything other than what's on TV right now because they're taught that to be, you know, that is their record buying is a remote control. You know, and when I grew up, my hometown dictated what I had to do to find my entertainment, and that means you have to dig. Whereas, like, you know, it's like punk rock people, they know what it's like to actually get their hands dirty in order to find really good music. And every other day mainstream people that just listen to the radio, it's just kind of force fed to them, and they go, okay, yes, that's good.
They get loyal to genres.
Yeah, and that's really boring. And I think you have bands like Blonde Redhead, who tour with Red Hot Chili Peppers, Dismemberment Plan, who opened up for Pearl Jam, Murder City Devils, who we're going to tour with, have opened up for Pearl Jam as well. And I think it's time that bands like us get together and start doing that, and that we don't let all the political rules involved in punk rock hold us back, because then pretty soon all the dumber rock that's around right now is just going to reign supreme, and we will have never had a say, and we're just going to kind of go unnoticed, which is, I guess, the point to being underground, but it's pointless to me, you know. I think
preaching to the converted.
Yeah, if you preach to the converted all your life, what change are you doing? And punk rock's always been a revolutionary format, and I think if you just kind of like, if you take into account maybe the way you used to look in high school, and if you were ever that person that had blue hair, or you know, you had a piercing, and before that all that stuff was cool, and you got made fun of, or you got chased down the hallways, or you were accused of being gay because of a certain way you looked and a certain kind of music, then I think now in the year 2000 it's about time that you prove to everybody that, you know, you were, if not their equal, even better than they were, by choosing to you know, let your freak flag fly, you know what I mean? Just standing up and saying, this is who we are, you know, and we're not going to put up with what's going on right now anymore, because it's a lot of stuff that's on the radio and on TV, it's very homophobic, it's very gender biased, you know.
Completely sexist.
Yeah, and it's disgusting, and it's disgusting that people eat it up, and it's like, it's just okay, you know. I mean, I don't want to sit here and list band names, but you guys know who you are, and I think your time has come. You know, we're not trying to take over. We just want to let everyone know that there is a different way of doing what we do. And, you know, there's a lot of bands that have ethics and a certain aesthetic as to what we do. And if people can just open their mind and give it a listen, they'll throw away the other stuff that really has no meaning, it just has no substance, no essence, you know. And we're not trying to say that we are the best thing since sliced bread or anything. We're just trying to provide a new choice for everybody, because there isn't a choice right now. No.
Not in El Paso.
No.
We have a classic rock station, and we have like about 10 or 12 like Tex-Mex, which is awful music.
Yeah.
Awful.
It's funny because now we're being played on that same radio station that I totally hate. It's funny.
They've never supported us.
Yeah, they never support local bands ever. So it's kind of funny now that we do, and it's all simply because of the industry hype. And, you know, I mean, believe me, I love my Led Zeppelin and my Deep Purple and my Ozzy Osbourne, but I can't listen to that every day. So there was, like, the other stations, which was, like, KXCR, where you discover stuff like, I don't know, Mission of Burma or Descendants or Rhythm Pigs, which are from El Paso, too, and, you know, maybe, like, Human League and stuff like that. It was basically back when it was more considered new wave and punk. It didn't have the alternative title to it, you know? That's what I used to listen to.
But it was like only on Saturday.
Yeah, it was only on, for like an hour or two.
Yeah.
So it was really bad. Then you'd have to like look for other sources of finding interesting music. Which is, if you had cable, if you're lucky enough to have cable back like late 80s, there was a show on USA called Night Flight, and they would have weirder bands like the Cramps or something, or documentaries like Another State of Mind would be shown on there. You know, but if you didn't have cable, you know, you'd have to go to the punk shows, and you would see bands like Operation Ivy or Mr. T Experience or MDC or Youth of Today would come through town. So that was kind of connected through skateboarding. So that's how I learned about it, was through skateboarding and like Thrasher magazine and stuff like that. So Iggy Pop, he was going to work with Ross Robinson, who we were recording with. And so they had been chit-chatting on the phone, playing phone tag, and we were there in the studio when Ross was talking to him, and Ross told Iggy that he was working with a band who was basically a byproduct of what he had created in, you know, the 70s and stuff like that. And when he was saying stuff like that, we were in the same room, and we were like, why are you telling him that, you know? And because he basically said, they're a lot like you were, man, and it's like, no, we're not. I mean, you can learn certain things from listening to people, you know, but anyways, he told him all that jazz, and then he suggested to Iggy that he come down, check out the studio, and lay down some vocals on a song, and he was like, okay, just send me the song. So we sent it to him. He liked it. He didn't really want to work on anything of his own, that's fine, you know. So I just wrote out all the parts, and we kind of like matched vocals, and then he would do the chorus kind of by himself, and it worked out really well. We clicked really well. He speaks Spanish fluently. Omar and him really clicked really well. And he just told us a bunch of stories about his good old days, and it was really interesting to listen to that, you know. And it's interesting to see what he is like now as a person, because I think people think that he came in with his shirt off, cutting himself with glass, and, you know, throwing mics around, and he was a much more mature person. And it seemed like he's honed his craft a lot more, and he learned how to express himself different ways other than what people expect him to be like.